In 1869, a young Thomas Edison is working at a Western Union office in Boston as a telegraph operator, while inventing little inventions on the side.
One day in June of that same year, Edison invented an electric vote-counting device.
However, the politicians he showed his invention to did not trust their votes to be counted by machinery, and thus Edison's invention was rejected. After his invention's rejection, he vowed this:
"For most of my life, I refused to work at any problem unless its solution seemed to be capable of being put to commercial use."
Edison's work on the telegraph and telephone led to the invention of the phonograph, the talking machine. In order to market this new product, many flyers and posters were made in mass production. Two of Edison's primary marketing strategies, marketing them as durable and inexpensive, are clearly seen throughout many of these different kinds of posters. He even established not one, but two phonograph companies to ensure his success: the National Phonograph Company and the Edison Phonograph Company, but the latter was formed later after the interest in the invention was renewed. Marketing the invention as cheap, durable, smaller, and better in the case of the improved models became standards for Mr. Edison. If you look at some of the flyers he had, you'll see the marketing conventions continuously pop up. He also liked to introduce his inventions as the new standard, a meter stick for which all other competitors should be compared to.
Lost his interest in the phonograph until Chichester Bell and Charles Sumner Taylor developed an improved version of the original phonograph. This upgraded version of the phonograph utilized a wax cylinder and floating stylus, creating much better sound quality. They called it a graphophone. Bell and Taylor sent representatives to Edison to discuss a partnership, and Edison responded by stating that the phonograph was his invention and his alone. He was galvanized into action by this competition and developed a similar design to Bell and Taylor's graphophone, and quickly went off to patent.
Edison's newest version of the phonograph was introduced at the 5th Annual Convention for the National Association of Talking Machine Jobbers in Milwaukee, Wisconsin on July 10th to the 13th of 1911. This introduction to the public was followed by the publicity, which claimed the machine originated from Edison's British 1878 patent, with the intention that claims of copyright infringement from Victor or Berliner, which were his competitors, would be deterred.
Some of the main strategies he used in his marketing of the disc phonograph was the fact that it was compatible with his competitors' discs, making the Edison disc phonograph far more attractive to be purchased.
By the end of 1912, 3 basic models for the Edison disc phonograph had been designed, ranging in price from $150 to $250. Edison's biggest downfall with his discs, the prices were ranged from $115 to $245, but later were changed from $135 to $225. The chemical processes used to make the discs were complicated and the chemicals themselves very expensive.
Public attitude toward the new Edison phonographs was not quite positive, as they were deemed less attractive and without the mobility of switching discs between machines. They had less appeal than Victor's phonographs. Edison was on the right track with forcing customers to buy only his discs if they had his phonographs. The real issue was in getting the customers to buy his phonographs in the first place. Spending more time with the design and elegance of his machines would have given him a massive market advantage. Another issue was in the laminated surface, which had a tendency to detach from the core, which only gave the company more trouble, as their aim was perfection in their recordings. However, the discs and players were often touted as being acoustically superior to the competition. Edison utilized this and backed the superiority with claims that his company's records could be played 1,000 times without wear.
Edison's biggest advantage lay in the quality of the discs and the sound they produced, so he arranged recitals to be conducted to prove to the public and prospective consumer that the Edison motto of discs were the recreations of performances, not just the recordings of them. The public was so impressed by these tests. The Edison machines grew in fame tenfold.
Additional advertising for the diamond disc was secured through promotion of the Edison film The Voice of the Violin, made in 1915, which featured a tone test by Anna Case. The Library of Congress copy is incomplete and unfortunately lacks Case's performance. Walter L. Welsh.
The Edison company needed to produce more stylish cabinets to house their players and compete with competition from the Victor company. The designer H.D. Newsom from W.A. French Furniture Company of Minneapolis created a series of cabinets which included French, English, Italian, and Gothic period styles. Prices and advertisement reflected that their players were the same as cheaper models, and the additional $700 to $5,700 was due to the cabinets themselves and not the players.
In an effort to reach out and possibly get a contract with the Department of War, the Edison Company granted the request of the United States Army Depot Quartermaster in the new year and created an Army and Navy model, which would be tougher and simpler than the commercial versions of Edison's player. This machine sold for $60 and was only purchased by individual units, some taking them overseas. The model was discontinued after the war's end.
Branching out into the market of moving pictures with sound, the Edison Company developed the Episcope, which consisted of still pictures accompanied by narration. This product was thought to be inclined toward the children's market due to possible application as fairy tales and educational nature talks.
I am experimenting upon an instrument which does for the eye what the phonograph does for the ear, which is the recording and reproduction of things in motion. Thomas A. Edison, 1888.
Actually, most of this work was performed by William Kennedy Larry Dickinson beginning in 1888. Yes. Quite. Motion pictures had become a successful entertainment industry in just under 10 years. The kinetograph, or the vitograph, allowed for viewing to mass audiences. The Edison Manufacturing Company was not only responsible for the early camera and projection instruments, but also produced films for public consumption. Most of the film examples were showing famous people, news events, disasters, people at work, new modes of travel and technology, science views, expositions, and other activities. But as actualities became less and less popular, the company's production shifted its gaze to work on comedies and dramas. Edison's marketing strategy this time was a little bit different than previously. It doesn't say about how it's the new standard way to see films, but focuses more on the wonder and amazement of the vitograph, and checking its amazing qualities over that would be produced in Hollywood at that time. Edison's film company production ceased making the films in 1918. Join us next time, when we shall look at some other important historical event, and laugh historically. No, quite, yes. Actually, most of this work was performed by William Kennedy Laurie Dickinson between...
Hey, Oliver, can I be in your shot?
No, No, get out of here. This is a serious documentary. Be gone with you.
Come on!
This is not a helium-based documentary. Be gone with you. Leave my presence. No. No. We've been over this.
Come on!
Ah.
Come on, the charges won't stick!
Ah.
Charges won't stick, I swear!
No. No.
They were
Bad
drugged.
mood.
They were
The
drugged.
power of Christ compels you.
Ah, it
The
burns,
power
Jesus.
of Christ compels you.